Hello, friends. You guessed it. It's Rising Signs. I'm Joe Lupton, and as always, my partner in crime, the hostess with the mostest, Mr.
Matthew Lavery.
What's going on, man? What are we calling this? Season 2? Is that what this is?
I guess we have officially done it. Eh? We are working on to season 2. Season 1 came to a wrap. We had a lot of people reaching out to us saying, why did you guys stop doing that? You guys were on to something. We had a little team meeting, and we are back. I think we are back and improved. Would you say?
New and improved.
I think so.
Sure, man. I'm just older and grayer.
I've
possibly balder. I'm not sure. You tell me. We'll have to look.
I don't want to be that guy, Joe, but season 1, season 2, he's back. He's back.
I forgot. Oh my god.
And we're wearing matching blue, so we look like twins today.
Twinsies, right? Okay, we're a couple weeks out from Valentine's Day, and I got something really funny. So maybe we'll have to use this in trivia later on in other seasons. But little known fact about me, I'm a big fan of a treasure hunt, right?
Okay.
One of my favorite TV shows is the Curse of Oak Island, and we don't have to.
I love the Curse of Oak Island. I love the Curse of Oak Island.
Nova Scotia, Mahone Bay.
Yes.
Let's go.
Man.
My dad told me that my dad read that Reader's Digest magazine talking about Oak Island back then. He told me about that when I was a kid. So when that TV show happened, I was like, oh my God. So I'm also a fan of National Treasure. Like, I'm not actively finding National Treasure and watching the movie, but it'll be like on TV. So my wife got me this for Valentine's Day. I don't know if you can read this.
You're my something treasure. You're my national treasure.
And
is that Nicolas Cage? It is
with like flowers on his head.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it's a trip, man.
That guy's a legend too, eh? Nicolas Cage. That guy's a legend.
Yeah.
My God.
All right, man. This is the part of the episode where you give an introduction for our next guest.
Oh.
Who we got, man?
Pressure. We don't got guests. We got 2 today, brother. We got 2, so I got to go double duty right now. So, is this that point of the show where we're going to come back? We're going to get the lights coming in. What are we going to do? We're going to do something for season 2. Definitely. So, bam. A little bit of echo, maybe? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. We'll Ellen will put that in for us after the fact.
Let's get this started. This is going to be an exciting one. These 2 guys coming up, this is something that we've never touched on before. So I'm really excited for this. So let's get right into this. Our first guest of 2. This guy goes by, AKA, otherwise known as the Spidey of Signs. He entered into the world of signage at the ripe young age of 13. It wasn't until he was about 16 that he took it super serious, but yes, 13 years old. This man, and it's a play on words, currently gets high for a living while being paid top dollar. He is a high-rise rope technician who is living his life on the edge, literally. This young talent comes from a long bloodline of sign industry professionals. He is known as the Clark Kent himself, Mr. Joshua King. Not only that, but our second guest, Jojo. This is a father of 7. Yes, a father of 7. There's not too many guys out there that can say they have 7 kids, unless you're Matt Del Salvatore. The father of 7 is an avid golfer whenever he isn't being occupied by the sign industry. He has years under his belt as a lead technician, a job foreman, an installation manager, a director of installs, an operation manager, and an owner. An overall amazing guy from Clair Signs in Greenville, South Carolina. The legend himself, Mr. Billy Trull. Billy and Joshua, welcome to Rising.
Bring them in.
Amen.
What's up, guys? What's up? Good morning.
Boys, specifically for you guys, I had to go to my truck and without the harness, because we are taking today serious.
Man, I'm glad you strapped in. Absolutely.
I want that Spider-Man
There
mask.
you go.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite fit my face. It's my 6-year-old's, right? So it's like,
You look good, bud.
You're good,
A little
though.
Spider-Man with a little beard.
Looks good.
so
Boys,
how about that
how's
intro,
everybody?
right?
Man, what an intro.
Wow, man.
Oh, yeah.
Almost walked out. I mean,
I'm out.
I thought we were done. I was like, man, let's cut right now. This is good.
Too much pressure. Too much pressure.
Well, guys, thanks for coming on Clair Signs. That's a wrap. We'll see you guys next week. I'm joking.
Yeah,
Boys,
Joe,
how's
get back here,
everybody
man.
doing?
It's not time to work out yet.
How's everybody doing this morning? Give us a little update. How's South Carolina? How's the weather? How are you guys doing?
Yeah, doing great, man. South Carolina's good. We got a sunny day. It's roughly 60 degrees, maybe. We're getting close to sign weather.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, just coming off. I think we had snow like 2 or 3 weeks ago, which really sucked.
Absolutely.
But yeah, for sign guys, it does anyway, right? Yeah, but anyway, it's getting spring-like weather now.
There you go. So school us a little bit. Whoever would want to go first about what you do and why you do it and what you like about it. And of course, Matt and I have a plethora of questions for you. But whoever would want to go first, just kind of share what you do.
I'll let Billy go first on this one.
Yeah. Hey guys, like I said, I've got 25 years of experience. I do this because obviously I love it for 25 years. I hope somebody loves it. But it's a unique industry. We all know this. It's not made for the lighthearted. It definitely makes a man out of somebody quick, or can be. It's challenging. Comes with a lot of opportunities. You've got to be multi-skilled, and several different facets of trades, and it's always presents some type of challenge. And I think for me, that's obviously one of the biggest reasons I get to do it. But too, man, as I get older, you start passing things along. You start giving it back a little bit. And like several industries, we're starving for good young people. I met Josh a couple of years ago, and he's been a great asset. And we've got this new program going right now, trying to lure in some younger guys and taking some stuff over the top, and doing some more of this high-rise stuff, which I'm sure we'll talk about a lot of that. But yeah, I'm very passionate about what we do and how we do it. I'm 54 years old, so I'm getting on up into there. But I still get out in the field and still do the thing every once in a while. I try to stay in tune. Technology has moved a long way in 25 years.
Facts.
And it will continue to do so. So you have to adapt to all that good stuff. But yeah, I think we got one of the best industries in the world, if my personal opinion. So,
Spokesperson right there.
Yeah, really excited about being here this morning. Thank you for having us, guys. Really cool show.
Thank you for showing up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Josh, your turn, brother.
Oh man, so
Don't be shy, eh? Give us the real version.
yeah, I'm a little nervous, but it's okay though. So
I feel like he's about to start preaching, man. So almost
20. Man, I'm 35. I started. My dad was 5th generation. I'm 6th generation. My family goes back to like post neon sign company, which was Knoxville, Tennessee. A lot of national companies started from that. My great grandfather built the world fair sign in the 30s that got shipped out to California, and and they put that together. Man, I started on a Sponko truck and a Skyhook when I was 13 during the summer times, when I was off of school working for my dad's company. And I mean, I was a helper for a lead guy, and the guys that I grew up with in the industry were very hard guys to work with. I got tired of I got yelled at a lot. My dad was very hard on me. I mean, if I was 1 minute late, he was out on the road, like waiting for me, waiting to yell at me. So if I'm
stop moving the flashlight. Stop moving the flashlight.
Yeah. I mean, so, I love this industry. I agree with Billy there. If you don't love it, I really don't, there's only a certain amount of a level that you're going to come to, and you're going to kind of plateau there. I love the challenge on a day-to-day basis. I don't know everything. I don't. And that's how I remain teachable. And I remain I try to learn something new every single day. And it's taken me a while to learn how to train guys correctly. You know, like a lot of times I just want to do it. And I got to remember, like, I learned from doing it. So a lot of times I'll show somebody how to do something and then have them do it by themselves. And if they need help, I'll try to help them out. But yeah, that is one thing that we really need is some young talent and some guys that will show initiative to learn this business and to learn how to do things and do it the right way.
Facts. It's every guest I think we've had on. I'm not going to refer Billy as a legacy member, but from the older crowd to the younger crowd, everybody that we've had on has expressed the exact same thing. It's about finding young talent pool, and it's about the sign industry is a constant book of education. You have to keep evolving because signs keep evolving. So once you think you know how to install one way, all of a sudden they're manufacturing a sign a different way, and you have to retool how you install that. And that's happening like day by day, month by month, year by year. So I always say it's incredible how we have all these guests that come on that are all diverse, but we all share the exact same common interest, right? Or common problems. So interesting.
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the most important tools that, you know, any young person can have is to being willing to be open-minded, take criticism, and to be able to think, you know, and offer up some ideas. You know, we encourage that, and I think most business owners do, most business do, and it's hard to find that talent and that in a person is to be able to offer up the ideas without fear. Some of them are scared that they're going to be shot down, and so we encourage our young people to think, man, give us your thoughts. Because things are constantly moving, and the way we change and the method of installs and stuff. I mean, there always a way to figure stuff out, right? And I think that's where the older guys come into place. And man, I don't mind you calling me legacy. I've worked for it. I'm getting there, man. Hey, you know, next year I get my discount at the golf course, dude. I'm looking forward to that, man. You know,
how big of a discount is that? 50%?
A year ago, I'd be pissed off about it, but now, you know, I get that discount. Hell, I'm looking forward to that.
There you go.
Yeah, but anyway,
you know, looking into the history, right? No, yeah, looking into the history of what's happened in the industry and realizing how many things have happened and been recycled throughout our industry that, for example, things that I don't even know about, right? And I've dedicated the past almost 15 years of my life to the sign industry, but it's really interesting that we don't have this collection of or documentation of history and information that teaches us, you know, the guys that were installing signs, you know, at the beginning of the 19th century, right? Because that stuff was happening. We had enormous buildings and enormous signs, and those signs were going up. And one really funny thing that I would like to touch on is I remember 7 years ago when push-through signs started becoming the trendy, cool thing that was going on, right? And for me, you know, that was a while ago, and it felt like this new thing that it's like, oh, this is this cool new thing. It's this new design. Believe it or not, in the early 1900s, and I saw this in person. I went to a sign shop in Buffalo, New York, that had these cast iron molds, and they were making push-through signs out of molded glass. They would actually heat these cast iron molds up to 1,000 degrees, and they used what they called milk glass. Put it in there, and they would cut out letters on a substrate and put glass through, and they'd have these little metal tabs that hold this glass plate in place. And, you know, they're illuminating those with gas and Edison bulbs. Wow. And it's funny that I never knew about that. Nobody I'd ever talked to knew about that. And it was the only reason I knew about it was because I went into this dank, disgusting, smelly basement in this, you know, sign company that's been around for 1,000,000 years up in Buffalo, New York. Believe it or not, it was a Bostonian shoes sign, and that's actually there's one of those in the Cincinnati Sign Museum as well, which is actually pretty cool. So awesome. Anyways, after that history lesson, you guys you hang from ropes off of buildings risking your life, and I figure the best way for us to start talking about that is let's put some pictures up on the screen of what you guys do in your work.
Yeah, you guys sent us some incredible photos. First of all, whoever's taking these photos did a great job. But wow, look at this photo. Unbelievable. Man's just hanging. You guys want to explain? What are we looking at right now?
All right, so
Explain
that's
some of these photos.
that right there was the letter T, a 15-foot letter from the Columbia, South Carolina BB&T that came down that now is the Truist Tower. That's actually the tallest building in South Carolina. It's 360 feet.
360 feet up.
Yeah, South Carolina is a small state. If you guys are familiar with South Carolina, we don't have a lot of big buildings. Yeah, so it's 360 feet. Damn, that's the tallest building.
That's the tallest building in South Carolina.
Yeah, 360 feet is a tall building, but
it's actually not that. It's actually not that tall, but it is 360 feet.
It sounds good. 360.
It sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. Considering Joe and I don't go up 360 feet hanging off a rope, I'm going to say that's pretty high.
Absolutely.
Keep scrolling through them. Go through these photos, Alan. Let's see what we got.
That's a resort on his cell phone right outside of Orlando. That's not really a resort. That's a hotel. That's actually I want to say it's a Hilton. And we had to replace that face and do an LED retrofit. And I had to come up. You'll see this that piece of aluminum that's hanging. That was it had a roof protrusion, like an overhang. So I had to build something that I could actually rig into that would pull me closer into that wall.
So you said you had to change out the face, right? And then
so
this looks like a channel letter that I'm looking at, right? So did you take the letter off the wall and change the face and reinstall it? Or did you take the old face out and put a new face in hanging there?
So there was pieces of it missing, and I had to make a pattern of it, have a face manufactured, and then come out with the new one and install it. But while the face was off, there was that actually wasn't that high. We just special in like hard to reach areas that you can't really get equipment in, and otherwise, if we did get equipment there, we'd have to do it at night or shut down a portion of their business to do so.
Yeah.
So a smart idea is just to go over the top with ropes. That way you don't have to restrict areas. You don't have to do it at night. You don't have to rent equipment. You don't have to have night charges. Obviously, it is a little bit more expensive, but it's more efficient, more proficient. And so while the face was off, like, hey, why don't you guys just update your LEDs? They were really old. It needed to happen anyways. So that's what we did. We LED retrofitted it and changed the face all in one shot.
So I couldn't help but notice. Go, sorry.
Real quick, did I miss the part? Did you take that letter off the wall and put the face on top of the building? Or did you have a face that was just hanging there and you're actually affixing that face while you're hanging?
Oh, we didn't take the letter off. We just we'll rope the face down. And actually, that was actually a pretty small face. It's not that large. It's actually
that's huge.
I want to say 8 by 8, maybe a little bit bigger.
That's still big.
I mean, how is that like what? That's a piece of polycarbonate, right? So you got a piece of polycarbonate hanging there. I mean, how are you tying that up? And then how are you untying it and getting it on the letter without like stuff falling all over the place?
Yeah, you're so right.
It's definitely a challenge.
I know you do it every day, but this sounds nutty to me. I mean, I'm just saying. I think elaborate on that a little bit would. I'd love to know. I mean, that sounds
so
wild to me.
You got to rig multiple, especially when you have a bigger sign. I mean, and on that sign right there, I want to say that I dropped 4 ropes because doing rope work, you really it's all about positioning. It's all about rigging. I mean, I can teach anybody to rappel. Rappelling is just a downward descent on a rope. Rope access is completely different. It's a completely different monster. So you drop multiple ropes in areas that you need to get to, and then you'll rope change or use those ropes in different devices to move over a foot because you can't reach. I mean, I've got small arms. I'm not a big guy as far as tall and lengthy, anything like that. So when I have to reach somewhere that's a foot over, you can't just walk over there. You're hanging on a rope. You've got gravity, you've got weight, you've got your tool belt hanging from you. You've got tools that are tethered. So you have to position yourself and do rope changes instead of climbing up the wall, re-rigging and going back over. I'll drop several ropes and positions and spots where I'm going to need to be, and I'll rope change across that whole area to be able to hit that whole sign and do the work that I need to perform.
Wow. Wow. Previous, when you were explaining some of the other photos, you mentioned night work. Are you telling me that there are specific jobs that you guys rappel at nighttime?
I have done rope work at night. Actually, I did the Ocean Walk Resort in Daytona Beach at night. It was all neon, and it was a lot easier for me to see at night, so I did it at night.
That's That's crazy. That's crazy. Hanging at nighttime. That's a whole nother world. Wow.
It's a
And again, we
spider
have
world,
another
man.
photo
You know,
up.
Spider-Man works around the clock.
Yeah. You gotta save the world, man.
24/7. Clark Kent. Well, we got another one that we whipped up over here too.
DC. No, come on, Marvel only, man. Come on, don't be bringing the DC characters into this. Get out of here, man. It's ridiculous.
Get out of here. And
So what are we looking?
Yeah.
This right here is a picture that I actually took this picture. That's actually a guy that I was doing that truest with. That's my buddy Dave right there. We actually mapped that wall out with measurements. We didn't use a pattern. So it took both of us to map it out, to map out our electrical holes, our mounting holes, everything. He basically had a piece of paper with measurements on it, and we pulled all those measurements, you know, by hand and all the way down the line, and we mapped it out and drilled it all in one shot.
So I got two questions here. I got two questions, maybe multi-level questions, right? Okay. So if you're mapping this out and you're fastening something, right, you've got hardware, right? So how are you not dropping hardware at 360 feet in the air? And what are the safety precautions at the bottom of that building in case, I mean, you drop a lag bolt, right, or whatever type of fastener that you're using, like that's gonna kill somebody. So
I got a story. I got a story for you there, and it's actually that's a very good question. Those letters were actually through bolted, so the threaded rod was in the letter when we put it on. But you do have multiple. You have things that you could drop. You know, everything's clips, anything. Your tips. I made sure I kind of figured out everything that I needed on that job, and I electrical taped my batteries to my impact to just because I mean when I'm going, my stuff's tethered, so I'll just drop it and just let it, and it hangs. Especially things get really heavy, it's really hard on your body. I mean really hard on your body. So to just like to try to be easy with everything is I can't even say that I do that, but I taped all my tips in that I was going to need. And then other things I let hang in a bucket where somebody on the roof is holding that for me, and everything in that bucket is also tethered. That way, when I need something, I can say, "Hey, I need this," and they'll lower it down to me really quick. I got a good top guy is also key, and also a good behind the wall guy too. Because when you're shoving letters through, and you've got multiple layers of something that you're drilling through and trying to push a letter through on the outside of the wall, like I don't have much strength on a wall to drill a wall. So like one aspect that we used when we were drilling this, we ran into some steel and had to drill steel on the side of this wall. Well, we used tethers and we worked as a team, as like you've got D-rings on the side of your harness and stuff, where he would throw me a tether, I'd pull it over toward me, I would tie it off on myself, he would pull in, lean into me, and give me leverage to drill this wall. Otherwise, you're kind of just pushing yourself off the wall. Different things that you really don't think about when you're hanging signs or drilling a wall or anything that come into play. It's very difficult.
Wow. Yeah, I never thought about that. The art of drilling something while hanging. And yeah, you're using a lot of your arms, and when you're on the ground, you're balancing, and you often put like your weight or your legs into
you
a
have
drill.
no weight to lean into.
You have no weight. Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. Jeez. I'm gonna ask the question, Joe. I know we're gonna get there. How does one find themselves getting into this line of work? So we have a bunch of experienced installers that work for us. They're mostly working off crane and boom trucks. We do a lot of low-rise stuff, storefront signage, interior signage. When I told the guys that we had people from High Rise that were going to be on the podcast, these guys were full of questions. How does somebody get into this line of work, and what is the proper steps to make it as a high-rise rope technician?
So what I did, for one, you got to be a good sign guy. And anybody and everybody that comes to me that says, "Hey, I want to do rope work," my first initial response to that person is get really good at installing, get really good at sign work, no sign work, because I can teach anybody how to do that on a weekend. And then really perfecting it is another thing. But then, you have certifications that you must, you got to go through training. Proper training for anything is really kind of key in that line of work. A lot of things that I've done are self-taught. The rigging side of that is really how I believe is everything in rope work. Rigging is
Yeah, for sure. I think, one, and to touch on what Josh is saying is that, guys, you can be a great sign guy, but you can't always be a great rope guy, right?
Yeah.
It takes a special person. It's different being on a platform or being on a stage and doing that type of work. I think, I would encourage guys to, start working into the high rise cranes, getting a feel for that, going into the stage work, getting a good feel for that. And then at that point, if they really feel like they want to go over the top, because even guys I know a ton of guys that can do all that work. But when you put them on a rope to say, all right, let's go over the top one time, I don't care if it's 30 foot. That's an uncomfortable feeling, right? It's not made for everybody and everybody can't do it. But you got to be, you always want to be respectful, somewhat fearful. And I think that's healthy. It creates a good safety mindset. And you can't push safety enough in something like this, but it's not made for the faint of heart. But I encourage young people. I think somebody that has that ability that can go over the top and has that adrenaline. I know a lot of guys are just adrenaline junkies, right?
Yep.
And that's what they want to do. But this would be one of them. Yeah, for sure.
I would hope so.
And most guys I know that go over the top are adrenaline junkies.
Yeah.
In some way. But there are several good sign guys out there too. But you've got to be willing to use your head and to be able to think doing stuff like this. It's just not made for everyone. But I love that you got young people that are interested, because that definitely gives us hope, right?
Too bad we're
in Toronto. We see a bunch of young people coming in and doing this type of stuff. Like I said at the beginning, we're in the process right now, putting a program together, putting stuff down on paper to start a training process for just that, for just young people. And we're looking for that. Josh is going to be heading that up, and it's going to be a really neat program. I think it's going to be, probably the first of a kind that we've seen in a while. We talk about right now, we're talking about, the need of having good people. We don't have anything in our industry anymore. It used to be we had plenty of guys that we could tap into. We don't have that now. So it's going to be really cool.
Joe,
I'm excited about it.
Sounds like
Joe,
it.
Before you ask a question, that's a good little plug. For the future, Billy, Joshua, let's say somebody wanted to get in contact with you. Let's say we have a young professional in your area that wants to reach out. Is there a way that they can reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Billy at stclairsigns.com. That's STCLAIR signs.com. Also 864-244-0040. Again, that's 864-244-0040.
I know we usually do that at the end.
There you go.
There you go.
Get that in there. All you, Joe. All you.
Thank you, Matt. So one thing I wanted to emphasize, Josh, you talked about being a good sign guy before you get into this. And I really love that comment. One of the things I'm starting to see in the industry that's becoming a bit of a problem is we've got a lot of wholesalers, right? Wholesale continues to get more and more popular for manufacturing, right? And then we have, sign companies that may have been full service sign companies where they're fatting and installing and servicing and everything. And now they're just, either they're expanding, right? And they're saying, listen, we don't want to deal with a service crew or an install crew. And they start subbing all of that out. So what you end up having, right, is you have, and again, we don't keep good track of history in our industry, right? We don't have, the encyclopedia of signage that tells us, hey, this is the right way to install this sign, and this is the right way you build this sign so you can install it. More often than not, you have a guy who's an installer, he gets a job, and the sign shows up, and it's like, how am I supposed to mount this? I've got no structure here to do this. I don't have angle iron on site to do this, and it's really amazing that being able to connect all those dots and hanging off the side of a building with ropes, like, you've got to be creative, and you have to know, like, hey, here's what's required in a sign so that I can actually install this sign. Because before you go over the edge of that building, you got to be able to look at what you're installing on the backside of that channel letter. It's like, all right, well, I got nothing to attach this with. I got to make a phone call before I even do anything, right? I think it's a great point to make. Great point to make, because it seems like everybody's kind of narrowing their view to tunnel vision when it comes to signage in a lot of aspects. And, the guys who are fabricating, right, a lot of times don't know anything about what it takes to install that sign or service it for that matter. So really great point that you made.
Well, especially when you got something that's hanging 300 or 400 or 500, 600, 8 feet above your head, right? There goes a ton of work into that and thought and engineering and everything else, because a lot of that stuff has weight. And some of this you don't realize that. I mean, you know, some of these elevations could be 16, 17,000 pounds of signage and support, and a lot of that's got to be engineered and tied into the building structure and things of that nature.
Yeah,
which requires a lot of work, man, and a lot of prep work, and it can take months for this to take place and transpire. So, yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So I have to interrupt with a trivia question, right? Because we're gonna get to the end
Ooh,
of this.
it's trivia time.
Right,
Yes,
right?
boys. We do a segment where we do bust out some trivia. So
what
good
trivia?
luck on this one.
Let's do it.
What? Loves trivia, eh? Uh-oh.
Are you ready?
No,
all right.
stump
So
'em.
we're
Stump 'em.
gonna go to the what is it? The happiest place on earth, which I would say is the home of lots of signage and paint, and that's going to be our wonderful land of Disney. Okay. So
wow.
Mr. Walt Disney, you know, who's lined the pockets of many a fine guy.
Oh yeah.
What was Walt Disney afraid of?
Can I answer this too? Am I
One of
involved?
Disney's originals?
No, what was Walt Disney afraid of?
Afraid of.
What was the Walt Disney afraid of?
I have a guess, but I'm gonna let these guys answer first. If you chose this,
yes.
was it actually?
I can't believe
ironic.
Yeah.
That's
No.
crazy.
How did
Yeah.
I-
Yeah. Mickey.
Minnie,
Oh
man, I grew up inside that park. I put every single billboard up inside Disney World.
Really?
It's
My dad had the Disney account growing up, so we
actually, it was on
made
your
all the
bio.
frames and put all the frames up. And every time they came out with a new movie, we had to put them up. I actually have several old Disney boards.
No
Isn't that cool?
way.
You can't
That's
say that.
really
Sorry,
cool.
I don't have any Disney boards.
No,
Right.
none of that.
Destroyed them all.
None of
You got
that.
pictures, of the old Disney.
Yeah, I got pictures of
Cut
the
it
old
out.
Disney boards. No, and I want to
You
touch
got
on
pictures of the old Disney
on the rope work side. We're talking about, like, I mean, I run an install truck on a daily basis. You know, and
when you're not doing rope
when we're
work.
not doing rope work, I run an install truck. I don't limit myself to just rope work, to just anything really. I like to expand on everything. You know, like, I don't like doing rag faces, and I've done a ton of rag faces. I try to perfect everything and anything that I can to make myself. Nobody in this industry can say that I'm the best. Because there's so many different facets to this. You know what I mean? But I want to be among one of the best, which means I have to experience everything on every kind of level. I watch welding videos on my spare time. You know, like, I want to know how to be better at anything and everything that I do. So, you know, that I just wanted to elaborate on that as well.
Well, there's a saying in the sign industry. I believe they call us sign geeks, and that's usually because we are constantly looking up information or teaching ourselves something new. It's the geek mentality. I want to get into another question. Again, I don't want to dive into both your guys' personal lives, but it's that continuing education, and for the people out there that need to know, because we don't get this experience with true professionals like you guys. Number one I know, Joshua, you just brought it up. Is rappelling something that is doable 7 days a week? Or do most companies, if you're working in South Carolina, it's like 2-3 times a month where you end up doing rope work? Number two, second part of that, what does the pay structure look like? For somebody to get into this industry? Is there a min? Is there a max? And then what do you need to do in between there in order to get up? Like when Joe and I were talking before, is there a difference of the guy that ropes down the side of the building as opposed to the guy that's watching him on top? Is there a difference of a guy who comes down as opposed to a guy who checks all the ropes or does all that? Like, how does that system work?
You want to answer that?
Long
Sure.
question.
So yeah, just like any other industry, you've got, you know, if you're the guy that's on the rope, obviously that pay is going to be different. Now, what that looks like, it all depends on the job, really.
Okay.
To be completely honest with you, I've got paid by the hour to do it. I've got paid by a percent to do it. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that a lot of different people do it. Obviously, your top guy is going to get, you know, whatever that wage is. It's really based on experience, really. But you could average, I mean, in the 30s to up towards 70s and 80s an hour. It all depends on who you are, what you can do. Now, what I would encourage people to do if they want to do this kind of work is to. I have a really good example. I got a really good friend of mine. He's an awesome installer, one of the best, and he wanted to do rope work. So I basically kind of gave him a rundown on it. He got certified. He did one rope job, and he said, "No thanks." I mean, so it really just all depends on who you are. If you want to do it, I would suggest go get certified, go find a recreational course that you can take, try it out. I did a job it took me 7 days, and my size and my rib cage were bruised for probably 3 weeks.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
So,
Matt was
on
asking
that-
Matt was touching base and saying, "Hey, is this something you can do for a week?" And I'm like, "Whew." Some guys can. Some guys can hold up that long, and that's one reason that you were asking about pay scale. What does that pay scale looks like? It depends on what that person is capable of doing. Are they physically fit? Can they stay over that wall every single day throughout that duration of that job? The guy on the roof is definitely not going to make more than the guy on the wall, right?
Okay.
There's no way possible. But at some point he's got to go through that. He's got to be that roof guy, that ground guy. But they pay. You still get good money. You're still making $30, $35 an hour, up to that $75 and $80 an hour. So it just, there's a big range of pay there. But I think somebody that's young, $35 an hour is not shabby to be learning this, right?
No.
To be able to stand on the rooftop and take some of this in. I think it's a good start for any young person.
Interesting. That's really good. Really good.
Yeah.
So we saw a helicopter in one of these pictures, right?
Yeah, we did.
So
Love the choppers, man.
Are you guys, as the installers, are you hiring these people that are delivering the letters via helicopter, right? Or signs, not just letters, right? Or is that something that who's contracted you is hiring to do?
Great question, Joe. Great question.
Hey, this particular job, let me say this on this, but this particular job, Josh was hired by the company, and obviously they went through us for that. But we have done chopper jobs and rope work as well. So I just wanted to answer your question is, if we're actually doing that job, yes, you do. We are hiring that chopper. And man, you talking about, and that's a different game right there, and all in itself, a huge difference. Choppers can be very expensive. The fuel and oil can be very expensive.
How expensive? How expensive?
Okay. For a chopper just to even hit the ground, 40 grand. For a chopper to take an attempt at the sign, 70 grand, 75,000. If a chopper is successful and you actually click it in and she's locked in, 105,000. It could be, it can go all over the place. Yeah.
Per letter or for a job?
No, per job.
Wow. Whew.
As long as you get it done in that day, there'll be a time frame. You'll have a 6 or 8 hour window. Hey, you've got to, if you want to get this done, it's going to have to happen here. There's a couple of companies out there that, they're a little slightly different, but really similar in the pay scale. But that's probably on the average. That's kind of what you see.
Have you guys ever had, oh my God, I almost pooped myself experience?
I got one. I want to know. Actually, I got two. I got two of them.
Tell us, because I can imagine this would be something that happens on a regular basis.
Well, it definitely wasn't something. There definitely isn't something that happens on a regular basis. This was my first jump that I did, and you've got ascenders which you put on to climb with, and obviously, my descender was getting caught up in my rope, so I took it off. But I'm still connected in multiple contacts. But I had so much going on. When I went to go sit back into my harness, when I had done everything, I wasn't attached to anything except for my foot ascender, which I was just standing in, which wasn't attached to me at all. So I was basically just free hanging on a rope. Didn't know that I wasn't attached to anything. And I went to go sit down and realized it, like, oh, wait, I'm not attached to nothing. So I had to hook all my gear back up. And it definitely scared me and taught me that I needed to take my time when doing rope changes and doing certain positioning and everything else. And then my second moment was Baltimore Hard Rock. They've got a 65-foot guitar mounted to a 100-foot Barnes & Noble building. And we were doing some service work, me and a friend of mine. It's all neon. And we're hanging off this thing. I'm lowering them stuff because we're taking turns. You can only hang for 3 hours at a time before your circulation gets cut off. And glass housing came out and went right over the top of the building. And mind you, like downtown Baltimore, right in front of the Barnes & Noble building, like all I could think was, we just killed somebody. And, you know, a glass housing, it's a pretty hefty piece of glass. And it went over the side of the building and it went down and it shattered. It didn't hit nobody, thank God. But yeah, you know, there's certain precautions that you really have to take. There's stuff that can fall, and you're really supposed to have your area red taped off with a guy down on the bottom.
Yeah. And it just goes back to show the importance of the safety aspect and how serious the line of work that you guys do is. And it's no different. The guys we preach the same thing to our guys that operate boom trucks, pylon safety, all that kind of stuff. So when you're going up that high, it goes tenfold of wow, it's nuts. Joe, sorry, you were saying.
No, it's all right. So hearing your first scary moment when you go to the gym, right? Like, are you training rope climb? So just in case, you gotta put that out there. No, well, maybe you should. I'm just saying, maybe it might be a good idea to start doing some rope climbs here and there.
You do a lot of shoulder work.
I do a lot of shoulder work and legs. It's all. Yes. Yeah. Rope work is actually a lot of legs. It's a lot of climbing. If you're doing it properly, you don't use your upper body as much. I've actually got arm issues, and that plays a factor in my everyday job as well. It's something that I have to work through, but and I learn not to use. A lot of guys, when they first start, they want to hold on to everything. They don't want to let go. You don't have to do that if you trust your equipment and you trust your gear. You're just relaxed. You know what I mean?
That would be Joe and I. I would have burnt palms from the rope by hanging on for so long.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. I think I would do it. Listen, if we end up with some goofy like live event for this podcast, I'll you train me. I'll go over the edge. I'm not.
I got an extra harness.
I think that would be.
I'm already harnessed up.
That would be awesome.
I would legit do it. We were talking about that. I don't think I could do it for a career, like forever, but I've always liked to challenge myself to do stuff. And like both of you guys have said it, we've all mentioned it, of doing multiple different things within the sign industry to get to where we are today. To say that you've done high-rise rope technician, yeah, that's crazy. I would love to do it for a couple of years. I think it'd be fun. Scary, but fun.
I think I would like to do it as a stunt. That's about it. You know, get a little GoPro in front of the helmet.
A quick selfie, really, say I did it.
Really short episode. I'd like to fly in under the. I want to be hanging from the ladder under the helicopter, and I want to come up to the building.
We'll see if we can get that approved.
That's a different vortex right there, man. You're talking about something scary when them choppers get up close to those buildings and what that vortex does and it comes off the side. Oh, you talking about it can cause all kind of havoc and issues. You definitely don't want to be on that ladder.
It's definitely a whole another world there when it comes to the helicopter on the side of the building and the letters and that wind hitting that type of building that it is. It can cause all kinds of craziness.
That was something I was thinking about earlier too when I saw the photos was weather conditions, like what's wind like up there. When it's hot, it's even hotter up there because you're obviously closer to the sun. Birds. That kind of stuff, like them just coming around or interfering with what you're doing. Like it literally is. It's pretty crazy to think what you guys do for a living. Like it is. Yeah.
But you'll hear stories. It's funny you say that. You'll hear stories from some of the guys out there that have been attacked by birds because they're nested. They're nested. You know, you got nestings and things of that nature up in the buildings, and birds actually attack them. And there's nothing you can do about it. So,
I love it.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
That's it. There's going to be a couple birds dropping that day.
The falcon?
Yeah. Falcon. There's a falcon that will actually attack you. It's the fastest bird on the planet. It's the fastest animal on the planet. I can't remember what the specific name of this falcon was, but it will attack you. It is a very mean bird.
The South Carolina falcon, eh?
No, it's not South Carolina. No.
Somewhere else.
Mind you, like Rope Work Week, we do work nationally. So I've been in Vegas doing rope work in Vegas, Atlantic City, Baltimore, all over Florida. I mean, rope work takes you everywhere and anywhere.
It was
the peregrine falcon.
Bam, that's it.
Oh, JoJo, this is so knowledgeable.
You can reach more than a. I'm the Googler.
200 miles an hour.
186 miles per hour.
Yes.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, have that hit you talons out at 180.
You're not getting away from that.
No.
I love it.
Unbelievable.
All right, fellas, we're about 45 minutes here, so we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
I figure let's throw your email back up on the screen here, and let's do another plug for that training class that you're gonna do, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely.
One more time.
Everything.
Yep, St. Clair Signs, Greenville, South Carolina. We're definitely going to be starting a training program with Josh here, training young people on rope work, rappel work. So if you have an interest, we'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at my email there, billy@stclairsigns.com, or call area code 864-244-0040.
Awesome.
Love it.
Well, fellas,
Love
I
it.
tell you what, this has been
Don't be
an
shy. If you really want to get paid and paid well, call me.
I like that. I like it. I like it. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Joe and I are in. Let's go, Joe.
We gotta get you a different style harness though. You're not gonna want hanging that, I promise you.
Okay, whatever. This is a fashion show one. It doesn't even have dirt on it. I'm not gonna lie. It's never been used.
Yeah. He just uses that. That's for showing, man. That's
for show.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Awesome. Hey,
Well, fellas,
thank you guys again, man, for having us on the show.
Matt, Joe, man, you guys are awesome. Appreciate what you're doing for our industry.
Love
thank you,
Great
man.
job.
It's been great.
Yeah.
You guys have been wonderful guests, and it's been educational. So it's been eventful. We really appreciate you guys making time for us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and if we're ever in the area or one of the shows coming up, because I know International Sign Association shows coming up in Atlanta. If we're ever in the mix, let's meet up. Let's grab a coffee.
Absolutely.
Yeah, guys, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks,
Yeah.
fellas.
Thank
Have a
you,
good one,
boys.
guys. Appreciate you.
Joe, how
Matty
cool
cakes.
is that? Bro, that's cool.
I'd say pretty cool. You know what's funny is I've always wanted to have a helicopter conversation because, in the line of work that I'm in, we, warranties for products and all that stuff. And it's one of the illustrations I give. It's like, listen, if you go and you put, $2,000 worth of whatever up on a sign 400 feet in the air and you have to install it with a helicopter, don't expect me to pay for the helicopter if you don't tell me you're using a helicopter to install it, That's one of the things that I do, but I never really actually talked to anybody who had hired the whole setup and all that stuff. It's crazy, man. I never even thought about the idea of doing that every day or not being able to do that every day, right? And circulation in the lower half of your body. It's just it's wild stuff, man.
Take a toll on your body. It's not for it's definitely not for the faint individual. But it is really crazy to think that is another element and another part of the sign industry. Every time we do these podcasts, every time we're interviewing somebody, we're interviewing people that just do so many different things that all still embody a sign industry member or somebody has a career in the sign industry. And it's crazy, bro. I mean, Joshua and Billy, that was crazy. Yeah.
So
awesome.
2 things we should mention before we sign off here. One, if you're interested in joining us and having Matt and myself harass you and interrogate your life, you can email us at
Rise and Signs Podcast at gmail.com.
Glad it's not me anymore. And I think it would behoove us to mention that you like that word?
Behoove. I like it. I like the way you just threw that out.
Behoove us to mention
Behoove.
that this upcoming in-person International Sign Association convention, Matt and myself are going to be going live from the showroom floor on a couple different occasions. So be on the lookout for us there. And that's all I got. You got anything else, Matt?
Again, thank you to everybody out there that continues to support us. For all those people that reached out and told us, guys, get back onto it. Thank you. Sometimes you need a little bit of that encouragement. Again, to all the people behind the scenes, Brian and Ellen, they get things done for us. So, guys, thank you. Other than that, Joe, I'm excited. I love seeing your face. Joshua and Billy absolutely killed it today. And I'm excited for our next episode of season 2.
There you
It's
go,
Friday,
man.
Joe. It's
Thanks,
family
everybody.
day. It's family
let's
day.
put that out
too, eh?
Oh, enjoy your family. And let's play that outro
Happy family
music.
day.